What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Flying with Garrett. A little different scene this time. I am actually in the cockpit of the Embraer 145. This is the airplane that I do fly. I hold a PIC type rating on this aircraft. I upgraded about a year ago. And I just wanted to put up an episode, kind of a newer episode of how I got to being a captain at an airline and kind of just the pathways that I took to become an airline pilot. I will go into detail more about the different pathways you can take to become an airline pilot. I know I've made a video like that in the past, but I kind of want to give an updated opinion on that since flight schools have changed, bonuses have changed at regional airlines, also the majors, how fast they're hiring now. So I want to take it back to day one of when I decided I want to be an airline pilot. So I actually went to East Carolina University at 18 years old. I enrolled and decided I wanted to get a business degree. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do in life. Like most people don't when you're 18 years old. You kind of just go to college because that's kind of the next step. That's what's been kind of told what you're supposed to do. So I went to college, got for business, and then I decided I needed some money while I was at college. So I got a job at the local airport. It was Pickeringville Airport at a one and only FBO that was pretty much on the field. I was a line boy, so I was washing airplanes, fueling airplanes, and then just being around the environment, I kind of grew a love for it. I've always loved aviation because my father's a pilot, my uncle's a pilot, my grandfather was a pilot. So aviation's always been in my life, but me wanting to be a pilot never really interests me until being in that environment and working on airplanes. I say working, but just washing and being around airplanes all the time. So I called up my dad and said, hey, I kind of want to try this flying thing out. Keep in mind, I had no idea what I wanted to do for a career, and I really wasn't thinking that being an airline pilot is what I wanted to do. It was just kind of hey, let me go try it out. So called up my dad, said, hey, I kind of want to take a flight lesson. So we have these things called discovery flights where you can jump in an airplane with an instructor, kind of go and just feel what it's like up in the air, taking control. So we took off. We're in a Diamond 20, just a little two-seater, beautiful airplane, but I got to take over the flight controls, and having the freedom to fly was just the coolest experience ever. So right after that flight, I knew that's what I wanted to do. Called up my pops again and said, hey, this is what I want to do. This is awesome. So I proceeded to get my private pilot's license. So I got it while I was in school my freshman year at East Carolina University. And then I decided this, if I want to take this serious as a career, let's go down to an aviation school. So I did a bunch of research. I was looking at Auburn, and then I found Embry-Riddle. So Embry-Riddle is a big aeronautical university. It's very well known in the aviation industry. So I decided the best bet would be to transfer down to Embry-Riddle. I got my bachelor's degree in aeronautical science. So while I was down there, they have a huge flight program, and the great thing about Embry-Riddle is you can qualify for a restricted ATP. If you get certain amount of ratings, which I got my instrument, commercial single, and commercial multi, and also get a degree, I believe it's at least 60 credit hours there at Embry-Riddle, you can qualify for a restricted ATP. In the United States, a full ATP requires 1,500 hours, but a restricted ATP can be 1,250 or even 1,000 hours. So that's why I transferred down to Embry-Riddle as well, is because I wanted to get to the airline as fast as possible. My father always told me seniority is everything. So transferred down there, I ended up getting a 4-year degree in aeronautical science, and while I was there, I got my instrument, commercial single, and commercial multi, all through the flight school. And then I decided the best way for me to build my flight time was to flight instruct. I looked at tons of different options, whether it was pipeline patrol, which is just literally flying up and down a pipeline all day, and then aerial surveillance, so taking pictures of construction sites, big government projects like highways. I looked at flying for like Mokulele Airlines, which looks so much fun. It's flying a Cessna Grand Caravan down in Hawaii. Beautiful flights every single day. I know a few people that did that and they absolutely loved it. So there's so many different options of building your flight time. So that's what I did. I became a flight instructor. I got my CFI and CFII, which allows me to teach people their private and their instrument and also their commercial. And then after a year, I was able to teach. It wasn't a year, I think it was about 8 months. I was able to teach flight instructors. So I did that. I flew a Cessna 172 and also a Piper Arrow. In building my flight time, I also purchased a Cessna 152 just to help speed up the process. So I would flight instruct all day long, do 4 or 5 flights a day, and then jump in my 152 with a buddy who was also a flight instructor, and we would fly, maybe from New Smyrna Beach across the state to Tampa and back, just to help build that flight time. So in about 8-9 months, I'd accumulated the 1,000 hours. Of course, I got my flight instructor license about 260 hours. And then, so yeah, I had to build that 800 hours, get that restricted ATP time, and it was off to the airlines. Now, picking the regional carrier, which is where you kind of have to go here, unless you're going the corporate route here in the United States, that's a big deal. Of course, no one really plans on staying at a regional for your entire career, at least now these days. So picking a regional carrier is very important. Whether you're going to sit on reserve, your bases, the aircrafts you want to fly, the route structure you want to fly, whether they have a flow-through program or a guaranteed interview program like I believe Endeavor does with Delta. Also, 3 wholly owns of American are Piedmont, PSA, and Envoy. So after X amount of years, his seniority number comes up and you're guaranteed a job there at American Airlines. So there's a lot of variables that go into picking a regional, which I will make a completely separate video regarding those bases, route structure, pay, all those pros and cons of different regionals. So comment below if you guys want to see something like that. I know I've been seeing a lot of comments about it recently, so I should get on that pretty soon. So anyways, I found my regional. I interviewed with 2 regional carriers. I got a job offer at both. I picked one of the regional carriers because of the different incentives. Also, the bonuses that were offered were pretty much level across the board. But kind of route structure and airplane was what made me choose my regional carrier that I went with. And then you just kind of put in your flight time. You start off in the right seat, you go through ground school and stuff, and then you get typed in the aircraft, start off in the right seat as a first officer. Most of the regional carriers now these days in the United States, once you hit your 1,000 hours of 121 flight time, which is airline flight time, you could pretty much upgrade to captain. It's crazy that that's what the industry is now. Before, I know people used to sit in the right seat for many years before they had the opportunity to upgrade to captain. So that's why I was very fortunate to upgrade at just 26 years old. It's been a great experience. I've loved being in this left seat. I am ready when the time comes to fly bigger airplanes. I can't wait for that. Bigger airplanes comes with longer routes, longer route structure, also kind of just cooler destinations. I kind of tend to go at the regional carriers. It's a hub and spoke operation, so I'm going to outstation smaller cities and bringing people back to the hub to make their connecting flights to further destinations. So I am excited for that. If you guys enjoyed this video, kind of a more updated, elaborate video of how I got to where I am in my airline career, smash that thumbs up button for me. It means a lot. If you're new here, if you enjoy these Flying with Garrett episodes, please subscribe. There's also a little bell over there if you want to turn on notifications. I am posting 2 videos a week. I've been doing that pretty good for the last month and a half. So if you guys are enjoying these, let me know. It means a lot. And I will see you guys very soon in another episode of Flying with Garrett.